crashes. So a motion for security was beat at least 3 times before it finally became successful. And then in September, I think after the first year, they finally became a security force, and they went around and rounded up all the crashers, all the speeders, and more or less tossed them out. So during the first 3 or 4 months of the second year, there were no crashers in the building. Now this period of time was short because after this, keys became available on the street, and you could crash in an apartment once you purchase a key. And some of the keys, like a Zeus, was selling for $50. So for $50, you could have a nice big 2-bedroom, very big lounge-type living room for $50, and you could probably live there for 3 to 4 months before maintenance or security come along to throw you out. Or if you couldn't buy a key, you'd crash probably in the sub-basement, because at this time, while security was quite well together, it still didn't have control of the sub-basement and the basement. In fact, they don't have control today because I crashed there. But other places that people could crash are dumb johns. These are johns that never worked, washrooms that never worked. They're at the end of every hall. They're there because each floor has to have a minimum number of washrooms. I think it's 1 for every 3 people. That is every 3 people that can live there by official estimates. So they were short 1 extra john, so they put it at the end of the hall. It doesn't work. It's not good for anything. And for various periods of time, people would crash there. And there's an elevator closet right off the elevators. People crashed there. In fact, one guy there crashed in the 6th floor elevator closet for about 6 months. After the security force was interrogated, there were still a lot of crashers who could seem to exist standing up. In other words, they never lie down, so you can't say they're crashing, but they're there all the time. In fact, I know one guy who sat down in the 2nd floor lobby, and since he was the only one ever crashing there, because nobody else would want to crash in the 2nd floor lobby anyways, he crashed there for about 6 months, middling and dealing and just crashing there. And then he left the building, didn't come back. Well, during, I think it was the 2nd year, they closed the women's washroom for some reason and made the men's washroom co-educational. And so somebody opened the door and put a lock, the door of the women's washroom, and put a lock on it and used it as their own personal crash space. I think he had the key for about 3 months before security got wise and evicted him. At one period of time, I had control of the library in that I was librarian, so I could crash in the library, and I crashed for about 3 months before somebody asked me to give up the library key. But crashing in general has just been harder and harder to do for any reasonable period of time. And for instance, today you can't get an apartment key at all, and if you did get one, you couldn't crash even overnight, because there'd be a security check before morning. There was a period of time when all the resource space was open. This was automatic. Everybody figured this is resource space for the people. And even after security was initiated, you couldn't keep the crashers out of the resource space because everybody refused to put a lock on it. But that period of time ended in itself. I crashed once in a a lounge's phone booth for about, I'm not sure how long I crashed there. I think it was for about 6 months. And during that period of time, when in the morning I woke up, I'd just listen to see if anybody's outside, and then I'd walk out. And so that nobody really saw me, except maybe in the lounge when I was just walking through. And in the daytime, this is still a cool thing to walk through somebody's living room like this. Well, crashing is, for me today, I have to crash because Sid won't allow me to rent. I could actually rent, but I wouldn't want to rent outside the building anyways, under any circumstances. So I have to crash still. Not really that much you can say on crashing, really.
I think one of the problems here has been to a great extent that the answers that we were seeking and needing are answers that are really needed for an alternate culture. There was a great deal of talk and concern about the counterculture. a better way than the establishment was doing it, or however you want to express it. But I think if you look at it as a whole, while the attempts have been counter the establishment, they've not really been a valid culture in their own. I don't really think they've moved properly or fully in the direction of becoming an alternate culture, a self-contained, self-supporting, even self-fulfilling culture. And I think that's one of the reasons why the college is still a viable experiment, while it still has a great deal of potential, and yet perhaps why it could spell defeat for the experiment as a whole. Certainly the answers that were needed then are still needed now.